Now inside Pauley Pavilion, UCLA hoping and needing a win to stay alive in their conference chase. 6 games left for the Bruins, 5 for Washington. And for the Huskies tonight, the electric backcourt. Bookends senior Justin Dentman and freshman Isaiah Thomas, likely the freshman of the year in the Pac-10. Of course, and you can't forget about John Brockman on the UCLA side. Freshman backcourt, Drew Holiday, and then senior Darren Collison. But I think Collison's a big player tonight, Marcus. He's been bested a little bit by Justin Dentman in the last couple of head-to-head meetings.
Justin Dentman, it's tough for him to handle it. He's just as quick, pretty decent foot speed out on the outside, but where he gives Darren problems and where Washington has done a great job against UCLA, they make Darren Collison have to really focus and play hard on defense. And that takes some of the bounce and punch, I believe, out of his legs to do the normal things he does offensively.
We saw Ben Howland with that surprising record, just 5-7 against Washington. Randy McCall throwing up the ball, working with Michael Reed and Bruce Hicks tonight. UCLA on the home white. And here's the interesting match. Justin Dentman gets the defensive assignment on Darren Collison, but Collison will not guard Dentman. Aboya missing inside for UCLA, but the Bruins get a second shot.
A little cross matchup for UCLA, but the main thing defensively for the Bruins, getting back in transition defense, making these ultra-quick point guards, 2 point guards actually on the floor at the same time, have to look at some defense, half-court defense as it's set.
Third shot for the Bruins as Aboya got an offensive rebound and then could not handle Dragovic's feed. Here's Washington, by far the highest scoring team in the conference, not even close. Almost 10 points a game better than UCLA, that's second.
And this is, we'll talk about it more, but the style of play that Lorenzo Romar loves to coach. Here's that matchup we talked about. Good job, Dragovic on the hedge.
And Brockman. This is where Brockman has made his living at Washington. 2 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and you saw 3 big bodies. Pondexter again also in there battling, fighting, trying to corral the Bruins underneath the offensive backboard to get the offensive rebound. That's where UCLA's got to dig in, play tough in the trenches.
Ben Howland was really vocal with us about that today, knowing his team has to rebound. That's how good Washington is, 4 or 5 men on the boards.
UCLA 2 possessions, 2 not so good results.
Nobody stopped Isaiah Thomas. Now UCLA trying to run, but Dragovic will not catch up to that outlet, and Ben Howland immediately holding his palms down to tell Alfred Aboya, don't get carried away.
Yeah, well, for the whole team. I mean, I think he was directing it at Aboya, but you could apply it to the entire team. I mean, everybody's playing. Josh Shipp, that shot he took, not a good shot early in the game. Both teams a little tentative, feeling each other out. I mean, they understand the magnitude of this game.
Now here's Ben Howland's defensive. He puts Darren Collison on the ball always. So that's Isaiah Thomas as Brockman gets the first points.
Now Brockman, hardest working man in college basketball, 11 rebounds a game. Did a great job the first time around, 18 points, 8 rebounds. But you mentioned the guards are playing so well, he's almost kind of a third option offensively.
Holiday's got a big size advantage on Thomas, takes him right in. Drew Holiday.
And you got to stop the penetration. One of the reasons why Isaiah Thomas went underneath the screen was to prevent penetration by Drew Holiday. He's got to catch up, stay in front.
Deep three. Dentman. 47% three-point shooter this year. And there, folks, that's the man you're looking. He's the leading scorer in conference games, tied with James Harden.
And at the turn, Isaiah Thomas actually, a bruising pick.
Wow, is that big by Aboya. Dentman picked himself up. Look at Aboya all over the floor for UCLA.
He's all over the floor. A couple of Huskies pursuing the basketball, able to strip it away from him. So that's the kind of hustle it's going to take from both teams this evening.
Aboya's a guy that was weakened by the flu, hardly practiced this week. But he's trying to set a tone with his energy. Shipp in transition.
Points off of turnovers, points in transition. That's where UCLA, when they can generate those, they do a great job in terms of putting themselves in position to win the game.
Quincy Pondexter for Washington. And Aboya with a UCLA rebound.
In Seattle, it was a 1-point game with 6:13 left. Bruins outscored 12-zip down the stretch. Justin Dentman, 8 of those 12 points. So UCLA is challenged to score baskets, particularly in the second half. Arizona State, another example.
Thomas got baseline. Thomas, who's so good, that's going to stay with Washington. Isaiah Thomas, the freshman guard that has an astonishing ability. We'll see Ship finish.
But watch a boy does a nice job screening out John Brockman to open up the lane. There's a boy right there with the little screen out of John Brockman on the inside, just enough to give Josh Ship the takeoff room for the dunk.
Good play. Denton got himself a great look. Matthew Bryan Ammoning in for Washington off the bench, replacing Darnell Gant.
And Josh Ship has got to focus on defensive rebounding. In conference games, Darren Collison has one more defensive rebound than Josh Ship, and that just shouldn't be so.
All right, that's the UCLA mantra. Team rebounds.
Yep.
Everybody. Strip. Thomas turns it over. Here's those points off turnovers. UCLA's made a living on this here in Pauley in recent games.
Lorenzo Romar started out the game going to John Brockman because these guards at the beginning of games, they can be a little bit too aggressive looking for their own. You almost got to settle them down, make them run some plays for John Brockman.
There's a top. That's what you were starting to say the last time. Isaiah Thomas has some of the most extraordinary body control in the air. But for a player I've seen in a long time.
And he's got hops. I mean, we saw him shoot around, jump over Joe Wolfinger, who's 7 feet tall. Now he did kind of get a boost off his back with his arm.
There's a boost for UCLA and Nikola Dragovic, who's been a terrific three-point shooter since becoming a starter early in the conference season.
And another guy that can put some pressure on you is Matthew Bryan Ammoning down in that box area. Pretty good low post player.
What I was about to say, Marcus, I'm so interested here. First 4 or 5.5 minutes now. Washington's gone to the goal a lot. They've not been fouled yet. Blocked, Ship clean. Blocked, Ship back. Washington's made so much of its living by getting to the foul line. And so far, UCLA's been able to defend without fouling.
They've done a nice job, but again, a lot of it has to do also playing at home. You get 38 free throws a game at home. On the road, that number drops significantly for Washington.
As was accurately pointed out today in the Los Angeles Times, Justin Denton.
And they shoot 24 free throw attempts on the road, 22 for their opponents. At home, it's 38 free throw attempts, 21 for their opponents in conference games.
And we've got a player shaken up. It's Denton. Well, Denton's had a rough first 6+ minutes. Denton got a brutal screen from Aboya that he seemed to shake off, but then he got whacked up below the belt. And when we come back, we've got a little Facebook friend, John Brockman, right after the break. John Brockman right now leads the Pac-10 in rebounding in conference games, which is really what should count by a substantial margin, but they count all games for the conference title. He's a shade behind Jordan Hill. If John Brockman wins it this year, it'll be 3 straight years that he's been the Pac-10 rebounding champ. That hasn't happened since Adam Keefe.
Wow.
Almost 20 years ago.
Nice job, Benoit Overton. Good hustle to break up the lob attempt from Jeremy Anderson to Josh Ship.
Justin Holiday, Drew's older brother. Only the second time the brothers have ever played against each other. Inside, Bryan Ammoning with a nice little dish.
How did he shoehorn that basketball through that small opening? That's a nice find inside.
That's what basketball coaches love, that phrase, interior passing.
Yeah, and that's not easy to get through.
Drew Holiday with a turnover. Jeremy Anderson is in for UCLA, giving Darren Collison a break as the point guard. Justin Holiday from the top. So the Holiday brothers, a year apart, and they're playing against each other in a game, an organized game for only the second time. The first time was the game in Seattle this year. Drew Gordon for UCLA, a freshman with a miss. And then Gordon gets back. Good job there. That'll earn him some points running the floor.
Yeah, well, transition defense. Ben Holland has pounded that into his team's consciousness this entire week of practice, which has been a good week of practice for UCLA. Justin Holiday, a terrific defensive player. He reminds me of kind of a little bit of Bobby Jones that played for Lorenzo Romar back in their Sweet 16 days of about 5 years ago.
Dragovic, second is made. Dragovic is a 48% three-point shooter since he became a starter. That's what kind of impact he's made for UCLA.
And at 6'9", I mean, it doesn't have to get very much lift off the floor. He's such a quick catch and shoot guy. And you got to be aware of that defensively, especially with the shot clock winding down.
Got far out of the floor. Brockman comes. You don't see Brockman out here very often. Stripped and stolen. Drew Holiday.
UCLA creating points off of turnovers, doing a tremendous job of that. That was one of the areas of concern for the Washington coaching staff. This team has got to be a lot stronger with the basketball.
Going right to the block, and there's Brockman. If you're Washington, Marcus, you get that security blanket. Throw the ball up there. So even if you don't make the shot, there's a good chance Brockman's going to get it.
Well, especially on the weak side when you have Jeremy Anderson, light in the wallet, a freshman, small, a lot of things going against him when you're trying to deal with John Brockman as a rebounder.
All right, offensive foul there on UCLA, the first foul of the game. We're going to bring you the legacy of a true American legend coming back.
Broad jump competitions, guys. Here's the funny thing. In baseball, that was his worst sport at UCLA. His only season on the team, he hit .097, but he's, of course, one of 25 chartered members to UCLA's Athletics Hall of Fame, which started in 1984. Jackie Robinson.
There is no Hall of Fame until Jackie Robinson's a member.
Yeah.
That's well done, Michael. Washington out of the timeout. Michael Roll on the floor for UCLA. Brian Ammoning with the aggressive move inside. UCLA substituting here. Michael Rowland for the first time. James Keith in for the first time. Darren Collison, Josh Shipp, and Drew Gordon.
And quickly on Jackie Robinson, that was one of the reasons why my parents, when I was 2 years old in Louisiana, wanted me to go to UCLA because of Jackie Robinson, baseball, athletics, UCLA, American opportunities. But Darren Collison, there's an opportunity, wide open, three-point jump shot, left corner.
See, your story is why, that's why the Jackie Robinson story is so important.
Yep.
Justin Denton back. Isaiah Thomas is out right now for Washington. Vanoy Overton, who's their third guard, a real feisty guy who gives them a lot of spirit in off the bench. Keith on the rebound gets fouled. James Keith.
Like the way the Bruins are attacking. They're starting to get some residual dividends from that. And that's what they've done, especially before the 2 games in Arizona. During the 4-game winning streak, they did a much better job not settling for three-point shots, jump shots, getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line.
James Keith at the line here. He's lost a bunch of minutes with Nikola Dragovic's emergence. And here's the difference in foul shots in the game in Seattle. And significant. I just think, Marcus, the point you just referenced, though, if you like, the Shipp sits for UCLA. If you like college basketball, the first 10 minutes of this game is why.
Yeah.
The energy that you just have seen for 10 minutes here. Both teams ready to play, guys going all out. Now, it isn't always the prettiest, but the energy and the effort is indisputable.
I mean, and it's not like you wait until the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left to call it winning time. Winning time in college basketball starts at the jump ball circle. And they understand that this game has so much importance on many different levels. A revenge factor for UCLA. Washington, again, trying to win their first outright championship in basketball since 1953. The Bob Kubrick's days. UCLA trying to get their 4th straight Pac-10 championship, playing for a lot of pride.
Benoit Overton inside. That's big. Overton is not a very good shooter, so any offensive contribution he gives them is a real plus.
Great point, Ted, and that's the reason why defensively, you got to give him a bit of a cushion. Even though he was forced to his right as a lefty, he still got the ability to get to the rim and can elevate and finish strong. He's a pretty decent athlete.
Holiday with a miss, and there's James Keith battling. James Keith taking up a little bit of the Ben Howland mantra. got Drew Holiday isolated on the weak side of the floor here.
James Keith going to go shoeless this possession.
It's going to be out of bounds. That went off Quincy Pondexter's leg.
There's Keith right there grabbing the grabbing the size 15 and putting it back on. But
I mean, I know kids tie their shoes looser today than we ever did, but
if they tie them at all, trust me, I got 5 sons.
Okay, thank you.
If they tie them at all.
That's right. But I didn't think that was a problem on the court.
Shades of Shoes Hoffman.
Who's that?
That's it. Al McGuire referenced the kid who lost his shoes back in the 80s. He made him a household name in his own household.
Terrific inbounds play. Michael Rowe on a clean shot. UCLA wanted a traveling stop there, and Denton doesn't get a roll, but there's Brockman fighting maybe too much. Brockman over the back? Yes.
Brockman always fighting, always relentless, attacking the offensive glass, boxing out on defense, just pursue. In terms of nose for the basketball, he's got one.
Well, there's a quick up, and there's Michael Rowe. Well, he missed the dead-on little 10-footer, and then buries the three-point.
That time the team for Washington got caught listening to directions on the sideline from Lorenzo Romar. Rose did a nice job kind of sneaking his way up the right sideline to find an opening.
UCLA recognized, stole a basket there. Pondexter back, gets the drop. Ball hung in the drop for his first points.
And Quincy Pondexter, another reason for the success of this Washington basketball club. He really found himself as a player by focusing on rebounding and defense, and the offensive part of the game has just come to him.
I'd say Drew Holiday tonight's coming out trying to be more aggressive with his shot.
We're talking about John Brockman and his potential for success on the next level as Oban turns it over. He goes up and gets rebounds in the crowd. You've got to do more of that for this team to have a chance to win as the Huskies try and come back from a 6-point lead.
Arizona on the road for the rivalry game with Arizona State. It's all in high def. That's presented by KFC. Arizona's being sparked by their point guard, Nick Wise, whose play last weekend in a sweep of the SoCal schools earned him the U.S. Bank Pac-10 Player of the Week award.
Hit the big three-point shot after the shot fake from deep when that game was tied up. And, man, he's really made himself in the conversation about best point guards in this league. We talked about Isaiah Thomas, some of these other players. Garen Collison, obviously, but Nick Wise is having himself a terrific year.
We last left you Sunday night with an interesting ending in Tempe. As Alfred Aboya missing inside Washington rebounds. ASU winning over USC. Tim Floyd ejected. The referee, one of the referees involved in that controversial call is here tonight. Randy McCall is our lead official. And kudos to him and David Hall. The mechanics, and we didn't get a chance to really explain it Sunday night, of that last foul were officiated perfectly. And a lot of people, including coaches and players, learned something that they didn't know about officiating mechanics because of that. But well done by that crew. Boya gets the points himself.
A good idea for UCLA to do more of that. I believe go at John Brockman. I want to try and create a situation where he is spending limited minutes on the floor because of foul trouble. And his defense against Aboya basically non-existent that last possession.
So this is UCLA not running right away to double Brockman like they normally do.
And it caused Brockman to hesitate just enough to throw the offense out of sync.
Offensive rebound here. Isaiah Thomas with one basket so far for Washington. There's the double on Brockman.
And it has to do with John Brockman's positioning on the floor. He's forced into a travel because that aggressive big-to-big double team.
I believe Brockman got a timeout there to save the possession for Washington. And some other Pac-10 headlines. We were just referencing that crazy finish at ASU Sunday night. But of course, Washington, since the Pac-8 started in 1964, has never won an outright conference title. They're in the lead right now. But this is what's interesting. 6 Pac-10 teams are in the top 45 and thinking they've got a real shot to be in the tournament. And of course, Arizona has been unbelievable in Tucson, but can they play that way on the road? That's the one question the Arizona Wildcats still have to answer and get a big test Sunday night.
Yeah, well, these final weeks of the Pac-10 season, and you're talking about the 34 best at-large teams, and the committee stating that they don't look at conference affiliation in terms of how many teams they're going to select. They just want the 34 best. And you've got 6 teams in the top 45. USC decimated by injuries this season, still playing some pretty solid basketball. So it's going to be a wild finish down the West.
And what USC has, as they're the 6th team right now in the conference, but they have 4 of their last 6 at home, starting with Washington State tonight. That's where they're hoping they can get to 10 wins and have a pretty good case. Right now, they are, as I said, they are even in the top 45 RPI.
And you got this freshman backcourt in defensively. Malcolm Lee, Jeremy Anderson for UCLA. They've got to continue to do the good job the veterans have done of keeping the guards out of the lane. There's an aggressive hedge.
Exactly right. It's a relaxed whistle tonight, but no relaxation. That is John Brockman's 8th rebound in the first 14 minutes of play tonight.
Well, if you're Alfred Boy, you can't worry about pursuing the basketball yourself. You got to keep your body on John Brockman's body. Just plain and simple. That's about the second or third time Brockman has sprung himself free just through activity, movement, following the flight of the ball, anticipating where it's coming off, and beating the defender there.
Dragovich trying to hit Aboya underneath, deflected out of bounds. Denton's going to come back in for Washington, replacing Overton. Drew Gordon back for UCLA. Ben Howland was concerned because Alfred Aboya was flu-stricken this week, did not practice until yesterday, that he was going to give Aboya, he said, more breaks earlier in the game to hope he'd have him around and stronger late. Malcolm Lee strip, nice hands Denton. Denton coast to coast.
He is a totally different basketball player compared to last year.
And the last 2 years. Really.
Yeah. And Lorenzo Romar told us that his starting spot was not guaranteed. And he had that conversation with him at the beginning of the season that he had to earn that thing. And he did a great job putting in the work during the offseason, especially working on his shot, shooting the basketball.
Gordon leaning in, little hook is short. And Brockman has 9 rebounds. 9 rebounds in 15 minutes.
When I saw Justin Denton when we did the Oklahoma State game.
Nice pass down the lane from Thomas, but Denton couldn't finish.
Well, nice back cut on the part of JD, but Justin Denton's got to finish that playoff inside. And Washington, as you mentioned, they're getting their looks at the rim. They've just got to convert those. 10th rebound for Brockman.
I think the big story again on UCLA side right now is Washington's not been to the foul line yet.
Wow.
And as we say that, there it is. And 1 for Isaiah Thomas.
He gets compared to a lot of players, Nate Robinson being one of them, but Damon Stoudemire is the guy that comes to mind, and he's the guy that he's watched a lot. Watch this little in and out dribble right there that totally ties up Josh Shipp. Josh Shipp thinks he's going to his right. He comes back out with the dribble. That's something that these young cats work on continually in terms of basketball development. That in and out dribble, and you see its application and how effective it can be in transition.
Isaiah Thomas, who grew up in Tacoma, Washington, but went back east to a prep school in Connecticut for his senior year of high school and an extra prep year to get his academic eligibility in place. Played at that school with Matthew Bryan Abbott. His teammate with Calvin Haynes of Oregon State was also on that team for a year.
They lost to Brewster Academy in the regional championships 2 years in a row. Those 3, it's kind of hard to believe them losing games as well as this young man plays. Calvin Haynes, what he's doing. Matthew Bryan Abbott.
So here's a rare situation. Washington operating with Brockman getting a breather. Thomas, nice setup. Well, Bryan Abbott got pinned underneath. Then a turnover and a Washington foul, which will take us to a timeout. But the Huskies have clawed their way back here within 2. Brockman, who claims, I asked him again tonight, he says, I didn't lose very much weight at all this summer, but boy, he looks like he's moving so much better, and he has been as ferocious as ever on particularly the offensive boards.
And that's just his forte, just pursuing the basketball. And you talk about his chance for success on the next level. The way he rebounds in a crowd is just so impressive to me at 6'7", and the work that he has put in on his body over the last 3 years to develop the player he is today is just amazing.
Look at those last 2 names on that list.
Yeah.
Those are 2 guys you hear about in the National Player of the Year conversation and Brockman's blowing them away.
And Jeff Adrian is no slouch
That's
either.
exactly right. That's
for
right.
previously #1
That's
ranked
right.
UConn.
And John Bryant, by the way, plays in the West Coast Conference, and he's lost a ton of weight and been a dominant player in that conference. You see Brockman 10 rebounds already.
Yeah, John Bryant averaging 18 and 13 this year.
Great setup for Aboya. UCLA, about 3.5 minutes now of a scoreless drought. That's been the one plague on their team in is these scoreless droughts they get to in offense.
8 minutes plus against Arizona State.
As Marcus said, that killed UCLA's hopes of winning the game in Seattle. They had a 6-minute drought.
6-13, no buckets down the stretch, outscored 12-zip. But Josh Shipp.
First 3, 7 for Shipp first half.
Josh Shipp, the Aquarian, the Valentine birthday baby, bringing some water to the desert in that drought.
Well, great shot fake by Denton. Boy, that was just a terrific setup.
And the guard so far, they played okay. Washington still to be within shouting distance, 5 points down. With the inside shots they've missed, they've got to feel pretty good that those shots will start falling.
Nice back tap, Dragovic. Shipp had it. And then Josh Shipp has shown a lot more of that to me, Marcus. I don't know if you agree or not this year. It seems like he's trying to establish, perhaps to the people above, that he can put it down and he can play.
Well, it's
not
time.
just a jump shooter,
It's
right?
about time. I mean, I thought, when he was a freshman, I mean, he was all about nose for the basketball, scrappy inside offensive rebounds, the occasional medium-range jump shot. And then his next couple, and I know he's had the hip surgery, the double hip surgery, had it twice. And so that's got to have affected his explosion and quickness and everything, but he's still got that nose for the basketball, and he's got to use that a lot more, I believe, to be an effective all-around player, and not just settle for the long three-point shot, which I thought he fell into too much the last couple of years.
See, he's going to, by the time this year's over, he'll have started more games than any UCLA player.
And to his credit, as we talked about with Brockman, Justin Dittman, he's gotten his body leaner, and so now he's a lot more explosive and quicker off the floor. I asked him that at the start of the season. Are you jumping higher? Yep.
Man, how about that? Collison gets called for the foul from behind. I mean, Darren Collison is about as quick as it gets, right? And Thomas just did the blow-by.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like 5'8", going to get 5'8" quicks going against 6-foot quicks. And it's a nice job using that off arm by Isaiah Thomas to create a little bit of an advantage for himself off the spin move. And he's one of those guys, you know he's going left, but he's just so quick and has got a great setup move like we saw with the in and out dribble to make you think a deke going, that's a hockey term, right? A deke going.
I like that.
A deke right.
Yeah, it's a whole different game so far in that regard. Foul shots. And Isaiah Thomas is 0 for 3 at the line here in the first half. The first guy that you got to look at Isaiah Thomas in this conference was Tony Bennett. The rivalry game was the first game of the year, and the Huskies won in Pullman. When they shook hands at the end of the game, Tony Bennett shook Isaiah Thomas's hand and said, "You make a big difference in this team." Yeah. Oh, was Tony Bennett a prophet?
The Isaiah Thomas effect. Ken Pomeroy has some numbers that show just how fast this team plays with him on the floor. And now Benoit Overton, another Seattle product. He and Isaiah Thomas went at each other in the state playoffs.
Aboya going. Alfred Aboya! What flew?
Another point off turnover. Another couple of points off turnover.
Brockman back, and let's see. Oh, they're calling Brockman. That's his second foul, both on the offensive board.
And Alfred Aboya again, just defensively, UCLA collapsing on penetration. Ball comes loose. Here's Aboya. And with a running start, he gets up just as good as anybody. And he had a posterization YouTube type dunk on, I think it was Noah of Florida.
There's something the Washington coaches were talking today about that. They know UCLA will push it here. Only they get out. And there's the proof, those fast break points. And I'm amazed as the year's going along, Marcus, how much more UCLA is looking for, and Aboya having the freedom to shoot the ball.
Yeah, but he's shown that he deserves that opportunity based on being pretty efficient from the medium range jump shot area. That was a great back to the basket setup that didn't finish off the play.
There's the first points for Matthew Bryan Ammoning.
But the boy is making positive moves when he gets the basketball, and that's all you can ask for. Donnie Daniels, great job in terms of individual instruction with the big guys for UCLA.
Shipp, how alert is that?
Nose for the basketball,
yes.
Tight plays from Josh Shipp.
And Shipp has an 11-point first half for UCLA. Last possession, Huskies.
The high screen and roll or pop with
Well, it won't be the last possession because Overton had a free track to the goal.
Again, beating him left and finishing right for Overton.
Collison getting a good screen, but then lost the ball. Boyas had a screen, but then Collison lost the dribble, and the Bruins do not get a last shot. But, as we suspected, you sensed the urgency a little bit more on the UCLA side tonight, and they played with that.
Yeah, and I think you see more of the same in the second half. Washington, they've got to convert the easy opportunities, knock down their free throws.
So it is UCLA by 7 at the half. Final score recaps the night in sports next. UCLA leading by 7 here, 34-27. We'll get back to Michael in a moment. Washington, Lorenzo Romar obviously had something to say because the Huskies did not come out until there were 90 seconds remaining until the start of this half.
And they looked like they had been scolded pretty vociferously. And Lorenzo Romar came out with a no-nonsense kind of look and expression on his face that leads me to believe, knowing him for 30 years, that he got into his team, Ted.
Well, I'll tell you, Lorenzo does have that look on his face. All right, Michael Eaves, go ahead.
Yeah, guys, you mentioned coming out so late, and Lorenzo Romar was very stoic when he came out. He said, we've got to stop giving them so many uncontested layups, and also they're beating us in transition. You guys were talking about that. They need to do a better job of sharing the ball. As far as UCLA is concerned, you would imagine they're very excited to be up 5 on the boards at the break. They're really happy that they're keeping Washington to a low percentage, and he said the reason they're doing that, as Alfred Boyer scores, is they're not letting Washington get out in transition. They're going to continue to do that here in the second half.
All right, Michael, and the other thing you saw when Washington had a couple of offensive rebounds, first trip down, and now they get a call. Lorenzo Romar and his staff really were riding the officials hard. You get the sense they're used to seeing their guys get those foul shots.
Well, yeah, we talked about that disparity of free throw attempts, 38 at home in Pac-10 play, 24 free throw attempts on the road in Pac-10 play for Washington, but to shoot 3 in the first half, all by one guy. So Isaiah Thomas 0 for 3. He was the only guy that went to the free throw line. So Lorenzo Romar trying to work the refs, trying to get the benefit of the doubt on some of the contact inside. And right there, John Brockman gets 2 free throws.
I talked to Brockman before the game about this. Almost every day this past summer, John Brockman, who struggled terribly at the foul line, shot until he made 500 free throws. He said some weeks 7 days a week, at least 5 days every week. And he said he had a couple of days where he made like 95%. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, you got to go back to the office, put in the work. I mean, he's shooting 62% this season. But you compare that to some of his
it's an improvement.
Bad performances in the mid to lower 50s. It's a major improvement. The challenge, keep this ultra-quick point guard unit out of the lane because that's what it does. You got to get some help. The big guys slough off of Brockman. You can't put a body on him. He kills you on the offensive glass. You've got to stop penetration. But nice job by Isaiah Thomas of being aggressive.
So there's unbelievable. First 3 trips down the floor, you've seen Brockman. He has 12 and 12 right now.
With that flare screen played poorly by Washington. Again, you got the no personnel. Dragovich that's a layup. It's automatic in there.
Ooh, and there's an offense. Isaiah Thomas leaning in there. He's initiating the contact.
Lorenzo Romar just employs Bruce. He's trying to get Bruce Hicks to look at it. Bruce, you saw, you can read his lips from here. How are you going to call that? But Isaiah Thomas trying to turn the corner, throwing that shoulder into his defender. Gets the offensive foul.
There's Thomas jumping in front of Holiday at the block, and here comes Washington now. Pondexter has Denton, but he'll take it himself. And look at Dragovich hustling back Well done by Dragovic with the defensive rebound.
And played pretty nicely defensively in transition by Alfred Aboya. I mean, that was a bad miss by Quincy Pondexter, no question. He's got to knock that down.
Scores. I'll tell you, Marcus, to me, and again, you may differ here, Washington's going to have a different view of this, but UCLA's defending without fouling today.
Yeah.
And Washington may say they just start blowing it up.
They're moving their feet, they're getting in front of the man and the ball.
UCLA is not letting Washington beat them at the foul line. Point lead on Washington. Elsewhere tonight in the conference, California on the road keeps Oregon winless, and Harper Camp, muscle man with a big night. Rulon Shaftanar has played extraordinarily well for Oregon State during the conference. And Taj Gibson right now leading USC. They have 5 minutes to go in that game. But right now, Oregon State has 6 conference wins. And all of you out there who predicted that before the season, stand up and take a bow.
Hey. I said 6. But they get more, you know, I'm going to be shocked. But this is it's a shocking story already. 6 and 8.
7-10 game in the tournament right now. It'd be Oregon State, Oregon, but in that order.
I tell you, Oregon State, I mean, they've got a chance to play in a post. They're a very attractive team with Craig Robinson, the Obama connection. Somebody, NIT, CBA, CBI, BC, one of these postseason tournaments will come a calling in Corvallis for the Beavers, trust me.
Well, they've got to get to 500, right? They're 12 and 13 now overall. They've got a rivalry game left with Oregon. They may need Oregon again the first night of the tournament. Thomas lost the handle, racing out, and it goes out of bounds. It'll be a turnover back to UCLA.
Again, Washington, this is a team, you know, at home, a totally different team. That's why they've struggled mightily in Poly Pavilion over the years, but just the Bruins pick up their level of aggressiveness. Washington doesn't get to the free throw line like they do at Heck Ed Pavilion, and has had a difficult time trying to deal with this UCLA aggressive defense.
Denton wins the battle with Collison. Look at Denton.
And that being said, it's still a 6-point game. You know, I keep looking at the score thinking I'm going to see UCLA up by double figures, 13, 15 points, and Washington still able to maintain contact.
And the other thing interesting, Washington is 5-2 on the road in conference play.
Yep.
These are their last 2. They play their final 3 conference games at home after this weekend. Shipp. Josh Shipp had his career-high game in Seattle last month with 25, 17 tonight.
In this game tonight, every time Washington kind of gets a little spurt going, Josh Shipp answers with a deep 3, in traffic layup. There's Isaiah Thomas. Now he's starting to do some work now. I mean, he's starting to feel it.
He's got 8 points. Dragovic. What's amazing, Marcus, was the question last year and even early this year, could UCLA shoot? And were they going to be susceptible to zones? Because this team's shooting the 3 ball amazingly well.
They're number 1 in the conference, in conference games at 43%.
Foul here on Aboya. Aboya down for the moment. Shipp's made all 3 of his threes. UCLA 6 of 11. Losing at Portland, lost to Kansas big, but they've rolled since. Their RPI reflects a tougher non-conference schedule. And they have wins over each of the teams that they're really fighting with for the conference title. Huskies 3 losses in the lead as Thomas misses and Gant tips it in. Huskies lost twice to Cal and once at Arizona. Of course, the one Cal game they lost in Seattle was a incredible triple overtime. Best game I've seen this year.
If they win that game, they come in here 11-2. Not for an Isaiah Thomas foul on DJ Seeley with his team down 3 with the and 1, send it to another overtime. They would have won that game.
Yeah, just a momentary brain cramp foul that cost Washington that game. Darnell Gant hits. Of course, most teams at this time of year get to the point where they've got at least one game where they all say that.
With Darnell Gant knocking down the mid-range jump shot, and he may be the 3rd best player to come out of Audubon Middle School behind James Harden and Yours truly.
And yours truly, middle school.
Another
like
Audubon middle school graduate.
Look at Thomas going in. Well, I thought he was going to show us a little bit of what he showed us in shoot-around today.
Yeah. Well,
Dunked.
Needed to get the big 7-footer out, 7-footer out there to jump over. But hey, this Washington team responding pretty well to the admonition of Lorenzo Romar. Play a little tougher defensively, attack the basket stronger.
Boy, there's a nice little pick and pop, and Dragovic.
Once again, talking about Josh Shipp, his ability to knock down the timely jumper. Dragovic has also done a terrific job hitting those open looks when they were available to him.
And then UCLA, in the Ben Howland tradition, takes that timeout to set defense, establish defensive momentum. It's our HTC Fuse timeout. The HTC Fuse has full internet, which allows access to foxsports.com for scores and highlights. You can grab a video highlight from tonight's game and share it live during calls. The HTC Fuse. Experience the reaction.
The pick and pop action between Collinson and Dragovic, and they really do a nice job, UCLA, spacing things out, making that run to close out on the shooter. Just an impossible chore for the on-ball defender, the guy that starts out on Dragovic, that helps out and hedges on the ball. You've got to get some support from the guy down at the bottom, I believe, in order to try and get someone to get a jump start so they can at least contest that thing decently.
Quiet night offensively for Darren Collison, 4 points. But UCLA's three-point shooting carrying the day. Shipp has made 3. Dragovic has made 3. Michael Roll in the game right now. A deadly shooter's made 1. Justin Holiday on the floor for Washington. Father, if you're watching, mother's coming sometime in the second half, and they see Justin Holiday get a basket. The brothers playing tonight. But their younger sister, who was here for shoot-around today, has a high school playoff game tonight. Mom's the athletic director.
Yeah,
she's with the daughter watching the playoff game.
Campbell Hall High School, North Hollywood. And they're going to hightail it over here as soon as they may be here now, as a matter of fact. But nice job.
That's a nice catch by Dragovic.
Well, yeah, and that's a great little high post back cut, and UCLA doing a great job. Washington, poor job defensively, especially every time the Huskies score, you think they're going to make a little bit of a run. They have a defensive breakdown that gives up an easy jump shot or an easy, in this situation, back cut from Gordon to Dragovic.
I tell you, Marcus, I'm surprised. Did you think Dragovic could contribute like he has? I didn't see it personally.
No,
so.
I mean, I heard a lot about him when he was recruited. He had to sit out the first 10 games of his freshman year for playing in a team in Europe that had some professionals on it. And then came in, was out of sync, out of sorts, never did find himself.
Collison missing, and Isaiah Thomas with the rebound.
Quincy Pondexter been pretty much a non-factor in this game also so far offensively for Washington.
Nice dump into Brockman.
When you can out-muscle Alfred Aboya down in the post to establish position on a duck-in move, you know this young man is extremely strong and powerful in the interior.
That's a foul on UCLA. Well, think about this with Brockman. Luke Herringody was here 2 weeks ago. I mean, Luke Herringody gets 20 and 15 on everybody in the Big East. 5 points, 1 rebound here against Aboya.
Yeah, and of course Aboya, he's getting some support. They did double team UCLA. Nice job on Herringody, but it was Aboya as that first line of defense that had to stop Herringody from establishing the kind of position we're seeing Brockman get on a regular basis against Alfred Aboya.
Darren Collison, 2 personal fouls now. UCLA 14, Washington 2 team. There's Pondexter, clear out. Pops over Keith.
That was a specifically designed play by Lorenzo Romar and his staff. He understands he's got a little bit of a quickness advantage.
Oh, a pick. Jeremy Anderson. Picked by Vanoy Overton.
Overton bringing the attitude, bringing the defense.
Yes. Well, that's what the first word thing you said, that's what he brings. He brings attitude.
Major attitude.
And 6 points in 45 seconds for Washington.
Just a nice job on the reach rip against the rookie, the freshman, Jeremy Anderson. for the easy two, and Washington right back in this thing down 2.
And Noy Overton of Washington, a sophomore from Seattle, our Motel 6 man of the game. Motel 6, proud sponsor of the Pac-10 Conference, will leave the light on for you. And it's nice to see, Marcus said, in a game that was so much is about the three-point shooting. Here's a guy in Overton that's a big contributor without being a shooter.
And also, he started a lot of games last year for this team and probably had his sights set on being a starter this year, but to go ahead and accept his role as an energy bench guy and to do it without pouting is just a testament to the entire team concept that this unit is working under.
Lorenzo Romar, when we talked to him today, the guy that he referenced on this list was the guy on the far right, Darnell Grant, a redshirt freshman, because he didn't start the first game of the year.
Yeah, and
Matthew Bryan Amening did.
Was slated to be the starting forward, but again, talking about selflessness, Grant came in and just did what was asked of him. Former Crenshaw high grade, been around him since he was a freshman at Crenshaw, 14, 15 years old, about 6'4". Now he's a legit 6'8", and he's contributing.
Pick, but Washington unable to save it and come back into UCLA. And it's those kind of role players like Gant that Lorenzo Romar has, who last year Lorenzo said I had a lot of depth, but it wasn't necessarily good depth. He was constantly looking for the right guys to play. He's had the 8 guys in place this year.
And I see Darnell's grandfather, Early Hill, at Crenshaw all the time. He asked me about Darnell's score, and I'm like, look, your son's a freshman. He's starting for the #1 team in the Pac-10 right now. Chill out. Enjoy.
Roy looks the runner. I like that. His grandpa wants to know, how many points my son get? And here's Pondexter. He's supposed to be a big scorer. He's coming to life here. But Pondexter tonight was saying it's the most fun he's had. And he's playing more of a secondary role.
Well, he said he wanted to be Brandon Roy at 18 years old.
Wow. Pondexter, 3 quick hoops here.
Just when I talked about Pondexter being a non-factor, he has really amped up the level of his game, and I got to believe he was one of the guys that Lorenzo Romar concentrated on trying to fire up at halftime.
Anderson missing. UCLA desperately wants a whistle. They want to get Collison back in the game. They'll get it right here. And Boya creates a turnover. He knocked that out. It goes out off of Holiday. So UCLA will have the ball and Collison when we come back.
55 all against UCLA, and they've done it a couple of ways, attacking the basket, and also they have really done a nice job of amping up the pressure. You bring Darren Collison out of the game for a rest, they go after the freshman Jeremy Anderson. As Benoit Overton creates a turnover, they're pressuring a lot more, and Ben Howland forced to put Darren Collison back in this game.
That's the Just for Men stay in the game scoring run here by Washington, and I think Lorenzo Romar is pretty shrewd, Marcus, because I saw him do this in a game at Stanford 10 days ago when Stanford subbed Mitch Johnson, their senior point guard, out of the game. Lorenzo did the same thing, ramped up pressure, created 4 straight turnovers, and it looked like Washington did the same thing there to Jeremy
Exactly,
Anderson.
and it takes a former point guard in Lorenzo Romar to understand the mindset of a point guard, especially a freshman coming in this kind of a scenario, the biggest game of the year according to UCLA Bruin basketball coach Ben Howland. But now, we talked about the scoring drops. This is 52 left in this game. Can UCLA continue to generate points? And answer that question on that possession.
Dragovic to Collison.
6-13, final 6-13 of the game in Seattle. The Bruins didn't score.
Out of bounds. Pondexter. A little slight bump with Boya. Those slight bumps tonight have not been called. And it's an out of bounds, a turnover to UCLA. Now Isaiah Thomas is out right now for the Huskies. They're going with Overton and Dentman as the backcourt. And Brockman out right now. Now Brockman was battling the strep earlier this week, just like Alfred Aboya on the UCLA side. Brockman did not do much at the shoot-around this morning. And he does have 14 points, 12 rebounds tonight.
Again, remarkable just the hustle. Both these players, Aboya, with his illness over the weekend, didn't eat solid food for a couple of days, come out and play the way he's played. Brockman with the throat, 14 and 12.
Matthew Bryan Amening, and that's saved by Denton, but into Drew Holiday. Holiday himself.
That ability to finish with the left hand. Drew Holiday just doing a great job anticipating where that saved ball by Benoit Overton would most likely be thrown, got into the passing lane, got himself an easy 2 points.
So out out of the UCLA timeout. The Bruins have scored 4 straight. And they'll have possession here. And that's also out of this timeout with both Brockman and Thomas on the bench for Washington. And that's going to end now. Brockman's coming to the table.
Matthew Bryant dominating. That was an opportunity, and he's had those in this game out of the post-up. He's got to do a better job finishing off plays like that. And here's our guy Overton involved in some shenanigans on the baseline with Darren Collison. With the officials, nice job.
Yeah, quick.
They understand the guys in this league that they need to get in and separate quickly. And Overton, the memo has been out. Trust me.
I had that conversation this week with Bill McCabe, the supervisor of officials, and Bill said that, without mentioning names, he said, there are certain players that our officials are aware have the possibility of doing a little chatting afterwards, and the officials are instructed. They know to get in there quick and make sure that they minimize chance of that happening. Well, that's Overton's foul, so Collison will shoot here for UCLA. So just as the Huskies made a little run when Collison was out, now the Bruins doing the same with Brockman and Thomas out.
And for the Huskies, just kind of holding things down. Now Brockman, nice little rest coming back in the game. Isaiah Thomas got a rest. His legs should be fresh. Darnell Gant in for defensive rebounding purposes. So this is like Lorenzo Romar's stand right here. Now he's putting his guys in to make their move and try and get control of this basketball game. But every time they've done so, or seem to be approaching that, UCLA's knocked down the big outside shots. It's been Dragovich, it's been Ship. Collison that time, nice job of aggressively attacking the basket.
6 straight UCLA points. And Collison, with the words of Ben Howland echoing as they have for 4 years in Collison's head, ball pressure. He's heard that, he's heard it a million times.
But Isaiah Thomas, it's effective because you do not allow him to pick up a head of steam, and that's where he is so effective. You can kind of get it on the run. Oh,
big 3, Denton.
Deep 3, and that's where some of those hours and hours of shooting with Joe Whitfinger, the big guy, the big 7-footer from Washington, the bench guy, the fellow senior. Justin Detman's workout partner. That's where he said that's where he realized Justin Detman was going to have a terrific senior year.
Good field. Dragovich tonight has made a handful of really nice passes.
It's a great feel for the game. He's 6'9", but plays like he's about 6'4", 6'5".
Brockman in there couldn't hold it though, and here's Collison. Is he going? Yes, he's going. Look at Collison, never backed off. And now it's Lorenzo Romar who's got to take the timeout.
The two mighty mites on their heels, and Thomas and Detman, and he just was relentless, weaving and winding and racing his way to the basket. Darren Collison, nice job in transition.
And this is big, Marcus, because the last 2 years up in Seattle, Darren Collison has been bettered by Justin Detman. He's heard a lot. He heard a lot of talk about it. And there, Darren Collison went right at Detman Thomas.
Without any hesitation.
All right, this week, College Hoops returns with a doubleheader Sunday night. Hoops presented by Pizza Hut kicks it off with Wake Forest and Duke at 7:30 Eastern. And then a Pac-10 rivalry game at Tempe. We were there Sunday. We were told it'll be an absolute madhouse this Sunday night for Arizona and Arizona State, presented by KFC, all right here in high def.
Justin Detman knocked down a 3-pointer to tie the game up at 55 all. Since then, UCLA has done a great job at both ends.
Yep, 10-3 run as you see the other conference scores tonight. Cal keeping themselves in the conference title chase. Oregon State winning, and USC helping their tournament cause. Again, if USC can hold their home court, biggest challenge will be Saturday afternoon against these Huskies. They'll end up with 10 wins. Good needed basket for Washington out of the timeout.
Yeah, nice offensive set. They used the UCLA high post offense with a screen for Isaiah Thomas to help free him to get into the painted area where he is so effective with the body control and the floaters and the in-between shots that he is so adept at knocking down.
Collison using a Boya, hits the 3.
I'm impressed with, again, UCLA's response. Every time Washington makes a good play, UCLA comes back with a solid play on the offensive end of their own.
Now the head of steam you were talking about, Marcus. Dragovich kind of slowed it. been muscling. Weak side was Gant. Gant is down. Or Pondexter, rather. Pondexter slow getting up. And Michael Roll is fouled by Gant. Pondexter still stung at midcourt for Washington. We'll take a look at some great plays in this game on the X-Mo.
Best connection, and it is the best of the X-Mo. Doesn't get much better than this. Josh Shipp in transition, going high up the square. And then what about the wraparound pass from Matthew Bryant Amaning inside to John Brockman, doing serious work, and watch the pro move, trying to get the foul call after the three-point shot by Nikola Dragic. A lot of contact. Isaiah Thomas getting smashed, and then speaking of smash, there's one for you. Alfred Aboya throwing it down rim about eye level for him. Best vibe, best connection, best of the X-Mo.
This has been a terrific second half so far. UCLA is shooting 70% in the second half. Washington, 58%.
Yeah, and after both teams right around 37, 38% in that first half. But what I like about the Bruins, I mean, you don't see this team being overly emotional about this game. They're real business-like, real matter-of-fact. Every time the Huskies make a move, make a run, tie it up, they get a little spurt. UCLA, timely jump shots, attacking the basket, knocking down free throws.
And Michael Roll only been at the foul line 17 times this year. Made one, missed one. Brockman with another board. Washington needing now to not let UCLA pull away into the final minutes. Stay close. Denton, he's made two big ones.
Beautiful offensive execution. Bruins now going to ramp up the full court pressure. Washington is trying to turn UCLA over.
Quicken the game as well, do they?
Quicken the game. Again, UCLA's got to be thinking about their jobs this season in big games in the Pac-10.
There was Isaiah Thomas going down by himself. He was 1-on-3 there, and Michael Roll slapped from behind.
I mean, not so much at the forefront of their minds, but this scenario here, the last 7 minutes of this game, Washington scores a couple of buckets, things get a little tighter.
Turnover.
Good aggressive defense by UCLA. Pokes the ball free from John Brockman.
14 turnovers each way.
It's just straight full court, man-to-man pressure. Again, we talked about speed the game up a little bit. Get UCLA to maybe take some hurried outside shots. A little bit more pressure on them.
Collison used that screen, got by Denton. Here's Justin Holiday back for Washington. Thomas going to take Collison. Got a foul. Don't believe they're going to say he had gathered yet. So Collison picks up his third. That's the fifth on UCLA, so it'll be a baseline inbound.
That should make Isaiah Thomas, the freshman out of Tacoma, Washington, so difficult. Doing it right. Nice job, Collison, cut him off, but just a wicked spin move forced Collison into the foul.
There, look outside the arc, so Denton puts the ball down, goes by it. Good defense, right reaction by Denton.
Good defense, but just a powerfully low to the ground built player. Does a nice job keeping his body against Michael Roll, and very little weak side help on that penetrating drive. You got to be aware of Denton. That's what he does best, a little in-between shots while not knocking down three-point shots.
17, we've got a foul here against Washington. It's against Justin Holiday, his second.
Denton, watch the left shoulder right there, separates and then goes back and gets even more separation.
Justin Denton, the subject of our World Financial Group, Your Dreams, Our Strategies. You're up there's Aboya hitting for UCLA.
Talked about the improved shooting of Alfred Aboya. The improved offensive confidence of Alfred Aboya. You can have some trust in him throwing the ball down into the post, throwing it to him baseline.
It's off Brockman.
And every time Washington seems to be in a position to make a serious threat, defensively, UCLA tightens up. Huskies turn it over.
Washington got level once here at 55. UCLA took a timeout, and out of that timeout, the Bruins have been able to once again seize control. Not comfortable yet, by any means.
And that's the important thing for Washington to continue to try and maximize.
There's a steal and a foul. No, out of bounds. They doubled ship right in front of us, but Justin Dentman hit the sideline after stealing the ball.
And this pressure of UCLA pressure on UCLA by Washington, I think, is affecting UCLA. And Justin Holiday is one of these guys, long arms, great at trapping, great at anticipation. They're going to put another terrific defender in Benoit Overton, just a pit bull when it comes to attacking the basketball.
It's going to give Dentman about a minute break, about a minute to another timeout zone. Late clock now. Ships at 17 tonight for UCLA. Short. Isaiah Thomas. His nickname in practice, no surprise, Zeke. Brockman. Oh, what a tough shot, and Brockman made it.
Brockman fortunate to catch the ball. There wasn't a good entry pass by Justin Holiday. And then stuck under the backboard, kind of leans back, flips it up, and it goes down for him.
16 points, 13 rebounds, Brockman.
UCLA a little bit more deliberate on this offensive possession.
Good setup. Dragovic ran back to the line, and then Brockman didn't corral the rebound, but basically created it. And then Aboya, aggressive hedge. Aboya picks up the foul. It'll be his third. And it'll be Washington with a chance to narrow the lead when we come back. Won by UCLA, and that coaching staff is well represented at Pauley Pavilion tonight. Jim Herrick, the head coach of that team, sitting alongside Mark Gottfried, who was an assistant on that staff, and Mark, until recently, the head coach at Alabama. And look at what's amazing about that, the tallest man in that picture is the last man standing as a head coach, Lorenzo Romo.
I was doing radio for UCLA at the time, along with Chris Roberts, their outstanding radio broadcaster. That was just a fun group of guys to be around. And they had some talented players. The O'Bannon brothers, Tyus Edney.
Chris would have been a freshman, right? Your son was a
my son
freshman
Chris
on that
was a
team,
freshman.
right?
Where all the towel get-ups on his head, sitting on the bench. Cameron Dollar was an instrumental player in their championship game against Arkansas once Tyus Edney was injured in the semifinal game against Oklahoma State.
Well, what a good play out of the inbounds, and here's Washington again within 2.
Sign of a good coach, good team, being able to execute effectively out of timeouts. UCLA, I think, does it as well as anybody. That time, Lorenzo Romar draws it up perfectly. Quincy Pondexter.
Quincy Pondexter's had 8 big points here in the second part of the second half.
Pondexter's got to stay home and be aware of Nikola Dragovic because of his outside shooting.
Ooh, our Collison rather almost lost that dribble. Late clock, they find Holiday. Holiday!
You almost got to approach him on the closeout for the jump shot, to force him into the jump shot. A terrible weak side help, and there's I thought a pretty good job positionally by Drew Holiday, anticipating the right to left crossover from Isaiah Thomas. Watch the flyby on the closeout, little hesitation, and Drew Holiday had not a fraction to spare on that move, and right there, I mean, you get stuck in the numbers. Pretty good job positionally for Drew Holiday to get that blocking charge, that blocking foul called against him as opposed to the charge.
And that's the 7th UCLA foul. 1-and-1 Thomas. Boy, in a game like this, Isaiah Thomas has now missed 4 foul shots. He's 2 of 6.
how deliberate do you want to be? You know, knowing just the confidence down the stretch here. UCLA kind of waiting, going to put themselves in a position where the shot clock's going to go against them again.
And that's the shot of your Lorenzo Romar. You give UCLA that.
Just like Ben Holland blew it up, I guess, but Alfred Boyer bails his team out. We talked about the improved shooting, and that was even a bit deeper than he's been normally hitting the second part of the season.
It's funny, Marcus, you say that Lorenzo Romar down the stretch here is leaving Justin Holiday in the game to shut down Josh Schiff.
Yeah. And you help out the boy in that situation. That's a good defensive philosophy. You just don't expect a boy to be able to knock that shot down, but he does.
Well, we're less than a month away from coming right back here to Los Angeles at the Staples Center for the Pacific Life Pac-10 Men's Basketball Tournament. All 10 teams on hand, and our exclusive coverage begins Wednesday night, March 11th in high definition. Of course, the State Farm Pac-10 Women's Tournament will be held at the Galen Center in Los Angeles on the very same weekend. And there's what's at stake here. Basically, UCLA, to keep their realistic hopes alive of winning a fourth straight conference title, needs to win this game.
Indeed they do, and Alfred Boy really helps their cause. Just 4 points, 4 rebounds at Seattle. 12 and 10 tonight, and he's a great story. At the Tilton School in New Hampshire, their coach Scott Wood picked his name out of a list of 15 boys. We got a photo of him dunking on somebody in the camera rooms and never seen him play. Just picked his name at large. He turned out to be a pretty good player at the prep school, winds up at UCLA, and has been a crucial component to UCLA's success this year. Alfred Aboya.
You saw the UCLA note. We have a substitution question here. You saw that UCLA note, Arizona winning 4 straight. One of those was shared. No team has won 4 straight outright titles in the conference since UCLA when a guy named Marcus Johnson was playing there. And again, the history, Washington has never won an outright Pac-10 conference championship since the conference was in its form. The last outright title they won was in 1953 when this was the Pacific Coast Conference.
And Bob Hubreggs was on the hardwood.
Out of bounds. Sideline violation.
Another turnover at a crucial point for the Washington Huskies.
Washington did share back-to-back Pac-10 titles in '84 and '85.
Look at the defensive collapse on Isaiah Thomas and Justin Denton. Again, just you see it a lot in college basketball and on all levels of basketball, just lack of awareness where he is on the floor.
Missing, rebound, foul. Pondexter's call.
Bruin fans here at Poly Pavilion sensing that this UCLA team right now about to close the deal on this game.
That's the 6th team on Washington, so it'll be an inbounds with a new shot clock.
But again, that was a huge jump shot by Alfred Aboya.
Yes.
Tough situation, shot clock winding down. Perimeter defended exceptionally well. He steps out, knocks down about a 16, 17-foot jump shot.
That's a held ball, but the possession arrow keeps it with UCLA.
On the alternating possession, ball awarded to the Bruins.
Holiday again being staying. Justin Holiday staying in this game down the stretch to defend Josh Schiff.
Yeah, and you can go small. Quincy Pondexter, he's 6'7", 6'8", and long, so he matches up well with Nikola Dragovic.
Collison in, the foul on the way. It will be a 1-and-1.
The foul is on number 1 for
Roy Overton. Washington picks up his 3rd foul. So this will put a superb foul shooter at the line with Collison 1-and-1. Thomas back. Holiday's going out, so now Washington's going to go real small.
Real small and potentially dangerous from the 3-point line. I mean, Thomas not, and Gentman not nationally ranked, but in this situation, you got to be aware that if you're UCLA, and then defensively, they can really amp up the pressure full court with Benoit Overton on the floor also. And that's where you really want to try and get UCLA to make the miscues, cough up the basketball, and full court defensive pressure.
You see your game situation. Collison, 93% at the line. 15 points tonight. UCLA scored 6 in a row. And Washington will take a timeout because what they do now, they're going to have to start doing it quickly. Each team has one timeout remaining. Each team is in the 1-1. So UCLA will be back here Saturday noon Pacific time for the Washington State Cougars. Then the NorCal trip for UCLA next weekend. And obviously, if for UCLA and for USC, what should be favorable final weekend if they have the Oregon schools here. And for Washington, they know once they get done with USC Saturday, they're going home. They have a makeup game, a non-conference game against Seattle University, but 3 conference home games to finish the season.
Yeah, and Lorenzo Romar said it best that they can come home after this weekend if they don't handle their business from first place to third or fourth place in the conference. That's how tight this thing is.
That's what happened to UCLA last weekend. They went to Arizona in first place and came back tied for third. So Huskies stay with the 3 guards, Overton, Detman, and Thomas. They get the ball to Pondexter for the easy finish. And now the pressure.
And aggressively trying to go for a steal. I don't think you just foul for the sake of fouling. You try and rip and strip the basketball away. And if the foul is called, so be it.
And the one, obviously, you can't foul Collison, or you want to avoid it. Let's say that. And they steal it from Collison. Denman with a terrific finish.
There's that aggressive defense. The officials have been letting them play all evening long.
Now, if you're Washington, can you play this possession out? Nope, they foul. Pondexter's called. Fouling Ship, who's also a good foul shooter.
Here's that great defense by Washington. Justin Detman reaches from behind, pokes it free from Darren Collison, who's a lot more sure with the basketball normally. And then a tough finish on the inside, but a nice job Pondexter on that play. Didn't just obviously grab Ship and foul him. I mean, he tried to and usher him out of bounds on the sideline, hoping he could get away with it. He didn't, so no harm done. He's at the free throw line. The clock is stopped.
1-1. Ship 79% this year.
Holland's going to take all 4 players and put them back in their defensive positioning. Drew Holiday trying to shadow and deny the ball from Isaiah Thomas.
Thomas on that 3. I'm not sure what happened to that ball. Did Thomas get hit? The ball, Lorenzo Romar feels Thomas got hit, and it ends up with Brockman going to the line.
Like Thomas was intent on trying to flail the legs a la Reggie Miller into the defender and draw a foul. And maybe slight contact on the elbow.
Well, here's where no amount of summertime free throws can duplicate this.
Pressure will burst a pipe. And pressure will get to a basketball player, especially if there's some doubts about your technique and form and ability to knock down free throws coming into it.
And that was just a line drive. The Brockman shot on the second one, and that puts UCLA in the driver's seat.
UCLA, nice job playing hot potato basketball. Not a
foul in the corner, so Washington fouls Ship.
Not allowing Washington to get to the basketball to commit the foul. And that foul committed after Ship had delivered the ball.
Brockman fouling, and this will be the last 1-1 at 27 seconds. This Washington team that has made more free throws than their next best team in the Pac-10 has attempted this year. That's astonishing. In conference play, Washington has made more than the number 2 team in the conference, Arizona, has attempted.
And again, the disparity between home and road is just amazing, but give UCLA a lot of credit in this game.
Washington has shot only 10 free throws tonight. Only 10 made, just 4. And this rebound foul is on Brockman.
Number 40, Phil Brockman.
And it looks like we're heading towards a quartet of teams with 4 losses atop the Pac-10.
Well, we felt from the beginning it was going to be a dogfight in the Pac-10. I talked about it early on, 4 or 5 losses for the #1 team, the team that comes out as the conference champion. Ben Howland has talked about that extensively.
Marcus, how many coaches have we heard, including today, have said from all these teams are telling us, the conference may not be quite as good as last year, but it's just as competitive. It's just as tough as last year.
I think even more competitive than last year. Just and not as good because when you lose the Lopez twins from Stanford, Kevin
7
Love,
first-rounders,
O.J. Mayo, Ryan Anderson. I mean, these are Luke Richard and Bahamute from UCLA.
That seems to be a universal opinion we're hearing around the conference. A timeout here with an 8-point UCLA lead now. And, the team that we sort of is living under the radar, which is probably just the way the coach likes it in this conference race, is Cal.
Yeah.
They're going to be level in the loss column. 4 teams with 4 losses in conference play, and Cal's the one that kind of not much attention being focused on.
Yeah, and with guard play at a premium, the way Jerome Randall has played, Patrick Christopher's ability to score. Don't count Mike Montgomery's ball club out.
UCLA will play at Berkeley a week from Saturday. And of course, everybody then gets together once again at the Staples Center for the Pacific Light Pac-10 men's basketball tournament. Go to the official conference website, pac10.org, click on that entry link, and enter for your chance to win 2 tickets to the Pacific Light men's basketball tournament. Of course, the State Farm women's tournament takes place for the first time at the Galen Center on the USC campus, same weekend as the men's. So the entire conference will be here in Los Angeles. And with Stanford, Cal, and Arizona State, they've got a great 3-team battle for the Pac-10 Women's Championship.
Josh Shipp, just a real solid overall offensive game, and especially knocking down the shots that stop the runs of Washington.
Stanton trying to pass it off inside. And Oboya rebounds. And out goes Collison for the ultimate finish. And UCLA is still alive. Saturday afternoon, of course, here the Washington State, which has fallen this year, will be here at Pollard Pavilion, while Washington goes to the Galen Center, what becomes a real resume-building game for USC.
Yeah, indeed it does, and again, UCLA just a nice job of making the plays that they had to make to win this basketball game, making the defensive stops they had to make. Alfred Oboya knocking down the big jump shot at a real crucial point in this game offensively for UCLA. Dragovich, Shipp also very timely jumpers. The Drew Holiday drive when the shot clock was winding down to get all the way to the goal.
So well-deserved hands for another terrific night by Oboya, but you saw the Brockman effort. Strep throat this week, weakened by that, and still comes to Pauly, 16 and 14. There's Detman hitting 1-4-3 that does count at the buzzer to give Detman a 22-point night. But UCLA has won the game it needed to. And we now have 4 teams in the Pac-10, even in the loss column. Washington 1 win ahead.
He was able to turn the table by scoring 85 against the conference's top-scoring team, the Washington Huskies.
So for Marcus Johnson, Michael Leeds, and our entire Pac-10 Hoops crew, Ted Robinson, thanks for joining us. Final score comes up next in most regions.